Welcome to the Retro Hack Shack. I'm Aaron Newcomb. I'm starting this episode out here on the ping pong table because this is the episode to celebrate my 1,000 subscriber mark. So thank you to all of you who have subscribed over the past few months. Really appreciate it. And I promised a special episode to celebrate, and this is it. So to celebrate the 1,000 subscriber mark that I've hit on my YouTube channel, we're going to be looking at what's in these boxes. Hey, what are you doing up there? There, it's coming up right now on the Retro Hack Shack. Good girl, Penny. Good girl. So before I get into what's in those boxes, I wanted to tell you how I came about to have them in my possession for the episode today. So you may be familiar with a website called FreeCycle. I don't know if it exists outside the United States, but it's freecycle.org. And it's where people can post items that they want to get rid of for free. They just want someone to come pick them up. Today, I spend more time looking for that kind of stuff on maybe Nextdoor or Facebook or one of those types of sites, but FreeCycle still exists. And it just so happens that one of the wives of one of our directors at the Makerspace happened to be on FreeCycle, and they noticed a posting. Now this posting said that there was a load of old Commodore 64 equipment that was available for free, and all they had to do was come pick it up. So she jumped on that, thank goodness, and went over and got this big load of boxes. And to our surprise, it was actually somebody's full complete set of Commodore stuff, I think. I haven't been through all the boxes. I do know that there's a couple of Commodore 64s in there, so we'll take a look at those. But beyond that, I'm not exactly sure what's in there. So that's what this is. It was actually a donation to the Makerspace that I started 6 or 7 years ago. And I decided to go ahead and borrow it, bring it home, and go through it with you so that you could see on this special edition, the 1,000 subscriber edition of my channel, so that you could see along with me what's in there. And who knows, perhaps I'll be able to identify some items in there that would make good episodes for the future. So sit back, relax, and let's go through these boxes and see what's inside. Okay, I've switched back to my normal recording angle here with the lights and everything so that you can experience this kind of as I do. This is really exciting. I don't know about you, but I often, when I buy a new system, I always wonder, who used this, or what did they use it for? What kind of programs did they write? Where did it come from? Did it come from a school, or was it in somebody's home? What was life like back then? I guess I'm a little bit of an archaeologist here. But especially when I get a system kind of like the IBM 5150s back there that have hard drives intact, I'm not digging through people's data necessarily, but it is kind of interesting to see what was going on back then. What were they using the system for? Were they writing files or creating games? Like, what were they doing? So anyway, all that to say, this is kind of like opening up buried treasure when you get a find like this that's intact, not just one system, but an entire collection that somebody spent, hours and years investing in. And now it's kind of time for us to go back through and see, well, what were they interested in? What were they doing? Okay, enough of the monologue. Let's go ahead and get to this first bin. So this bin has hardware in it. And I thought I'd go ahead and go through this first so that we can see what's going on. I see somebody's been in this one already. So first we have, loose key, Commodore 64, of course. And this one, I believe, when this came in, it says a broken keycap now. Darn it. Somebody put too much pressure on this and it broke the keycap. I'll have to fix that. Okay, video number 1, fixing broken keycaps, Commodore 64. But when this came in, I did open it up and take these Commodore 64s out, and I recapped and fixed one of them that wasn't working. So I do know a little bit of what's in here, although I didn't go through all the boxes. I didn't even go through this box completely. So first we have a Commodore 64 with the broken key, and it has the associated death brick Commodore 64 death brick, as I call it, because these are known to fail and take the Commodore 64 with them when they go. So this is definitely has not been fixed or replaced. So again, another episode, I can show how I take these apart and refit them with new power supply components to make them safe to use again and keep the original case. So that is a nice find. So I'll keep that aside. And I'm not even going to test that because I've got other power supplies that I know are going to work. So we're not going to test this brick. We're just going to leave it aside until it can be fixed and replaced. This is nice. Commodore dust cover. Does that go on here? Yeah, it does. Look at that. For your bread bin. Keep things from getting yellow. That's nice. And then there's one Commodore 1541 disk drive and two Commodore 1541 disk drives. These things are a little bit heavy. So those will definitely need to be tested, cleaned, perhaps fixed if they're not working. Now these drives look similar, but they're not. One of these drives has had some modifications done to it, and also the mechanisms are different. The one on the left is the more familiar Mitsumi mechanism, while the one on the right is the older style Alps mechanism. It also has this switch down here, which was added by the user to switch back and forth between device 8 and device 9, which is actually really handy, so you don't have to open this up to change that device number. Here's something that's interesting. I don't know if this is missing the joystick part or what, but this is a Power System Power Stick. It's called the Power Stick. It's got a couple of buttons on either side, one on either side, and then it's got this nice joystick, which is self-centering. So that's pretty cool. We'll have to test this out, but it looks like perhaps it's missing the another piece that goes on top of this. So I'll have to look this up and see if I can figure out what this looked like originally. But that is super, super cute. It fits in the palm of your hand, smaller than a mouse. That would be kind of fun to use. I really like the way that that feels. A lot of people don't like the way that the original Commodore 64 joysticks, the ones that came out with it back in the day, the way they felt. They didn't like it. But this, I can tell you, is really nice to hold and feel. And these buttons are really springy. So that is really neat. There's also some manuals in here. Here's a VIC 1541 single drive floppy disk user manual. That's pretty neat. That's in great shape. There's also the Commodore 64 user guide. This was a great user guide because it really had, number one, I mean, the quality of it, even the paper is really nice. And the instructions in here, by the time you got done reading this manual, you know, you would be pretty good at least at using BASIC and using the system. Look at this. Here's the data set. I could have used this for my other videos I was doing on making tapes maybe. Here's the 1530 data set unit operating instructions. So in case you don't know how to use a cassette player, you've got it here. And they have all of the instructions for loading, I bet, how to load a tape and all that. They have verify, some of the commands in here. Ooh, that's stuck together. I want to be careful. All right, I'm not going to pull that apart right now, but yeah, really cool to have the operating instructions. I'm sure you can find all of these online, but it's nice to have a copy. Okay, now we're getting into some of the really interesting things. Here's a custom cable, and I'm not sure what it's for. It's got a 9-pin connection on this side, and I don't know, some sort of weird custom connector on this side. Really interesting. If you know what this cable is for, I'll try to take some close-up pictures. If you know what this goes to, maybe a modem or something, let me know in the description below. Okay, speaking of modems, here we go. It's the Commodore Auto Modem telephone interface model 1650. And it's got some numbers here. There's probably a number of a service to dial up, and some other things here that somebody had put on here with a label so that they would remember. On this side, it's got a line and a phone. It's got a couple of switches here, which I'm not sure. Let's see. DT and OA. DT and OA. So DT would be what? Telephone direct, and then OA, I'm not sure. And then there's another, on this side, there's another that says HF on this side. So I'm going to have to look up a little bit about this and see how it worked. Okay, this is pretty bent up, but this is Step by Step, an interactive course in basic programming for beginners. And it looks like this was bound maybe with staples. Yeah, it looks like this is just a copy that somebody made, but it's got a lot of basic programs in here so that you could learn basic. So that's pretty neat. Okay, something actually in the box. This is the Super Expander C64. 21 new commands and 11 new functions for you. So all sorts of stuff. Does this have the actual cartridge in there? I think it does. Yeah, here it is. Come on out of there, baby. I don't want to break the box. Yeah, there it is. Brand new, essentially. Doesn't look like it's ever been used, or if it was used sparingly. But the Super Expander cartridge for the Commodore 64. I'll have to play with that. That could be a whole episode in and of itself. And of course, here's the manual, Super Expander 64. There are a few other cartridges in this box. Quick Brown Fox, copyright 1982. Was this some sort of a tutoring or a typing tutor type program? We'll have to check this out and see. All right, there's also Magic Desk 1. Not really sure what that is. Again, the cartridge is in great shape, so we'll have to take a look at that a little bit more closely, but this is obviously in the same fashion, designed in the same fashion as a lot of these other things that came from Commodore themselves. All right, here we have Epic's Fast Loader. Of course, people who used Commodore 64 back in the day knew this. Epic's Fast Loader cartridge was used to speed up the transfer rate between the 1541 and the Commodore 64, since it was notoriously slow to load things off of disk. So that's nice to have a copy of that. I didn't have one before. Well, it's not mine. It belongs to the makerspace, but I can borrow it if needed. Now, here's something I don't know anything about. It's, other than what it says on here, it says Commodore 64 128 MIDI interface from MIDI Man. So this was obviously some sort of a MIDI cartridge. There's 3 MIDI ports. I'm guessing maybe an in and an out. I don't know. There's no manual or anything, so I'll have to look up and see how this works. But that's pretty cool to have a MIDI cartridge for the C64. Here is the overlay for that Quick Brown Fox cartridge with all of the commands and everything that you need. So it says right here, friendly professional word processing. So I thought it might be a typing tutor program, but it's not. It's a word processor, and they have all of the functions. So this is an overlay that would sit on top of the Commodore 64 and give you easy reference to what all of the functions were that you could do with it. That is really cool. Okay, hopefully the glare doesn't get in the way here, but this is a boxed version of some software. It's called the Clone Machine. And so I guess this was for making copies of discs. These kind of look like discs on the front. New and improved with UniGuard. $50 originally from Micro W. And it says the Clone Machine with UniGuard, backup, and disk utilities. Take control of your 1541 disk drive with this indispensable disk user's tool. So if you used the Clone Machine back in the day, leave a comment below. But this looks pretty cool. It looks like you can do a lot with it. So again, this would be something a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun to check out, and includes the manual. Oh, look at this. See, this is what I'm talking about. When you dig into these, you start finding some of this stuff. Yeah, so here someone's written a bunch of markers and stuff, like they were trying to maybe either repair a disk or back up a disk, and they were putting check marks to make sure they had all the sectors. And then, of course, is this the disk? Yeah. Clone Unguard version .A1, copyright 1983. So I'm going to have to take a look at this Clone Machine in greater detail. This could be very fun for our upcoming episode. Okay, last but not least, I noticed this. Now, this is bent to crap here, but it looks like this was some sort of ROM expansion or something like that, or different kernels. It says 1984, kernel number 21 here. This is soldered in place, but then there's a socket here, perhaps for another kernel ROM to go in, and then there's this little plug that goes into something else. So I don't know if anybody knows which one this is. It says 1984 Skyless Electric Works, and it gives a part number there. But yeah, I don't know exactly what this is. If you have an idea, it's obviously something with the kernel ROM. Let me know if you've seen one of these or used one of these. Perhaps I can get this working again. Retro Hack Shack will return after these messages.
Rather than compare personal computers ourselves, we asked the computers which one was better on the basis of price and memory. The Apple II preferred the Commodore 64. Then we asked the IBM, and it picked the Commodore 64. Then the Radio Shack chose the Commodore 64. That's what we like about our competition. They're so honest. The Commodore 64. What nobody else can give you at twice the price.
Okay, we're on to treasure box number 2. This is the box where I found a few tapes to use in the last episode I made, where I made reproduction tapes and I needed to have a good working Commodore 64 tape to test with. So I reached in here and grabbed a few, and that's where those came from. But I didn't go through the rest of the box. So this will be really interesting to see what's in here. This is mostly software, I believe. So right out of the box, we've got Hessware paintbrush. I'm not familiar with Hessware. Like I said, I'm not traditionally a C64 guy, so I don't know if this was, maybe Hessware was all the rage in software publishers. I don't know. This is Hessware paintbrush. One nice thing they did was they list the author on here, or the programmer, so J.G. Depp. That's really cool. Everyone can be an artist using your Commodore 64 in our paintbrush program. Nice. So they've got some pretty cool examples here on the back. Looks like fairly simple line art, but who knows? And oh, this is a tape paintbrush demo. Oh wait, that's demo? Interesting. They've got car, city, and boat on one side, and then on the other side they have storm and Hessware. Maybe that's the Hessware logo. Oh no, there's a cartridge down here in the bottom, and what's this? Oh, okay, so this is just some getting started. I guess that's the software guide. One little page and a registration card. Also in the bottom here is the cartridge. There it is. Hessware paintbrush. If you used Hessware paintbrush, let us know what you designed with it in the comments below. Here's another Hessware program. It's called Graphics Basic, an enhanced basic by Ron Gilbert and Tom McFarlane. Unlock the full potential of your computer with over 100 additional English language commands. So this is a diskette. Yep, here it is. Original diskette there, and then the quite a full, looks like it was never opened, manual for this. Lots of additional graphics commands, it looks like. There's a sprite command, for example, with tons of different things, voice play, voice tone. So yeah, it looks like you could use this to perhaps make some really cool games or demos with. Oh, and here's the box for the auto modem I showed earlier for the Commodore 64. Your telephone resource center. Imagine sitting at home and getting timely, up-to-date things, financial information, research things, electronic post office that lets you send and receive important messages. Wow, sounds like email. I don't know. Copyright 1983. Let's see what's inside. Oh, okay. So these are the monitors, or the monitors. These are the manuals, it looks like, for a lot of the loose games. Hello, Penny. Here's the one thing that looks like it was just put in here, Hessmon 64, which is on cartridge, and this is, oh, okay, this is a machine language monitor program, so I guess this would be used for debugging your machine language code if you were writing for C64. Cool. Looks like it steps through some things, so maybe you can debug, what the heck's going on with your program. So that's really neat. It looks like the next stack of stuff are some games. I'm not going to cover all of these individually because there'd be too much. I'm just going to go through them quickly. There's Master of Magic. This is by Mastertronic. And it looks like all of these are in this special packaging, kind of crappy packaging that'll soon fall apart, I'm sure, as all of this kind of vinyl over cardboard stuff does. But a little manual and the Master of Magic disc right inside there. There's also Video Poker, Skyjet, and Black Crystal. Now this is cool. This is Beyond Castle Wolfenstein. So before Return to Castle Wolfenstein, there was Beyond Castle Wolfenstein. This is put out by Muse Software, and I'm not going to be opening up this one because this is actually still in the original cellophane. It doesn't have a price tag on it, but it's still in the original cellophane, so pretty neat, actually. Here's some more cartridges, or some more manuals. I'm assuming that hopefully some of these are in the disc box, which I'm going to open next. Fast Eddie, Frogger, Jawbreaker. Oh, another Hessware, Synth Sound 64. And then also Choplifter, classic game. And Omega Race, another classic for the Commodore 64. Here's a box, but the box itself looks like it's empty except for the manual. Another classic, Congo Bongo. So hopefully we can find that in here somewhere. All right, this guy was a real collector. I'm just going to go through some more of these Mastertronic ones here. Here's the Slugger, true five-a-side soccer. Looks like a small-sided soccer simulator or something. Here's Chiller. Ooh. Kickstart, Off-Road Simulator, The Quest for the Holy Grail. Oh, Paul McCartney's Give My Regards to Broad Street. What? Broad Street instead of Broadway? Here it is, Broad Street. Okay, here's another one that would be fun to play with, Musicalc, Synthesizer and Sequencer. And I think this was pretty popular if I remember. You can see a screenshot here on the back, but it's got the sequencer and the sound synthesizer, disc and manual included. If you use Musicalc back in the day, let me know in the comments below. And this guy saved all of these for those some of those tapes I mentioned earlier. He saved the instructions, not the whole box that came with it, but he saved the instructions that were written on the back of the box. I'm just trying to see if I can find. Yeah, here's Ford Apocalypse, that game that So not only did he keep the manual, but he kept these simple instructions on the back, the description. Didn't keep the whole box. That's pretty interesting. I'm glad he kept these, though. That's pretty neat. Here's a couple of tapes. Here's Terminal Software. And here's VIC-20 and Commodore 64 personal computer cassette. Oh, that's the Autoterm software on tape. And then I also found this blank one. So it'd be interesting to see what's on the blank one. Here's a cartridge called the Partner 128. Looks like it plugs into a joystick port. Now, I'm not sure, the 128, I wonder if this was designed for the Commodore 128. It has a button on it, but there was no, I don't see any other Commodore 128 software in here, so I'll have to look up and see what the Partner 128 is. So here's some discs that looks like they fell out of some of these other boxes. Here's Speed King. This one is Head On, product of the Software Guild. Don't know what that is. I'll have to look up and see what Head On is. Maybe that's a chess game. Here's Squish 'em. It's by Sirius Software. Here's that Jawbreaker disc. Turmoil. Oh, here's a classic. Zzz. Or Zez. I don't know how you would say that. Would you say it the same way in the UK and, and North America? Zzz. Finders Keepers. Win, Lose, or Draw. Oh, I gotta play that. Rhymes and Riddles by Spinnaker Software. So these are nice because they have the original labels on them. They look to be in good shape. So again, great to have the original disc for those. So here's a whole package called Top 20 Solid Gold. So this looks like a games pack that was sold with a lot of different software. And these are just numbered discs. Disc 1, Disc 2. It looks like there's 5 or 6 discs here. Yeah, at least 5 discs. And on the back here, it tells you, yep, 5 discs, and it tells you what's on each one of these. So these were kind of a compilation of different programs, kind of like shareware, I guess, back in the day. But there's a lot of good titles here, and they came on individual, a set of individual discs like this. So that's pretty cool. Okay, not the most exciting title, but Inventory Management for the Commodore computer. Again, the disc is in here. It's 1982. Looks like it was developed by Info Designs for Commodore business machines. So a lot of times these C64s, even though they weren't primarily popular necessarily with business as business machines, they did have software to run on them. And you can see the bugs. Ugh. Yeah, if you're running a business and had to do inventory management, this would be a cheap way to get a computer for your office to do that. And here is the original Castle Wolfenstein. Again, I don't see the disc in here, but the manual is in here. So we have Beyond Castle Wolfenstein and the original Castle Wolfenstein. So pretty neat to have both of those, one of them in the box, unwrapped. Here's one that I was talking about before, where they would bundle discs for various systems. So this is a spreadsheet. It just says Home Office Spreadsheet by Swift. But it does say down here, it has disks inside for IBM PC, Tandy Incompatibles, Apple II family, and Commodore 64 128. So you could buy this once And, that probably helped them from having to repackage, put disks inside for all those different systems. And they just put this out once, and you could buy it for all these different computers. And the disks are in there. Here's another Commodore branded game, I guess. It's called Deadline, an Infocom adventure. So I'm wondering if this is maybe a text adventure. Oh, no. Some water's got in here. Okay, it opened up. It's got the disk in here, but it looks like it's perhaps had some water damage. Deadline for the Commodore 64, again, made by Infocom, and it also has Commodore business machines written on it as well. So, yeah, it's very crunchy. I'll have to see if it works. Here's another disk speed-up utility called 1541 Flash for the Commodore 64. This claims to be the fastest disk speed-up. It says it has a disk switchboard inside, but when I open it, there's really nothing in there. It's got a receipt in here, which is nice, and it looks like there was a disk in here and maybe a cartridge, but nothing else. It does have the manual on the back here, so that's nice, but maybe I'll find the cartridge in here or in one of the other packages. So here's a couple other packages that are almost new in the cellophane. This one's not quite, but this is Grid Runner from Hessware. So apparently Hessware didn't just make utilities. They also made games. This one's called Grid Runner, and it was originally priced at $37.95, marked down to $4.99. And then we also have the Hess modem, and I believe the modem is inside here. Yeah, here it is. Here's the Hess modem 1. So that's pretty cool. And then you can see there's an AO. I don't know if that's answer an outgoing call. The cellophane's pretty much coming off this one, but that's pretty cool. So there's 2 modems so far in this pack. So apparently whoever had this system originally was a big fan of Hessware. Here's Time Money Manager. And it even includes a date up here of 1990, so it's future proof. Here's another one, Millionaire, the stock market simulation. I've heard of this one. I believe I heard of this on Computer Chronicles, if I remember correctly.
Basically, you can invest in 15 stocks in 5 industry groups, and everything you can do in the real world, you can do in Millionaire.
Does this make you a better investor? Do you think?
It will not make you rich. We bang away at that time and time again. The feedback we get from our customers is they say, my gosh, the stupid mistakes that I didn't make because I played your game first. Millionaire provides you with that fundamental knowledge that gives you the courage to go out and invest.
Okay, Jim.
So yeah, that would be kind of interesting. I don't know if it'd be interesting today because the market, obviously the 1980 market would be quite a bit different, but it was pretty cool that they had stock market simulation software. So this is a science simulation in biology. It's called Cell Defense, and it's got a picture and a signature on here from Leonard Nimoy. So apparently they got him to pitch this software. Again, bugs are falling off everywhere. But Cell Defense, it reminds me a little bit of, what was that game with the, for the Intellivision, the microscopic simulator game? I can't remember the name of it. But it seems a little bit like that, where you guide this guy through the cell and fix things for him. So it's supposed to be an educational title. And yeah, it's got a little science notebook in there, and it's called Cell Defense. And here's the original disc. Here's Championship Golf, Volume 1, Pebble Beef by GameStar, the greatest courses in the world. So yeah, you can play through some golf. That would be kind of fun to play on the C64. And this box is actually in fairly good shape. A little damaged, some more bugs. You can clean that up, no problem. Okay, now here's something you don't see every day. Microsoft Multiplan. Of course, it was quite popular back in the day, but I didn't know that they actually made Multiplan for the Commodore 64. I thought that was only for the IBM incompatibles. In fact, according to Wikipedia, Multiplan was actually ported to several systems, not only MS-DOS and Commodore 64, but even systems like the Texas Instruments TI-99, Radio Shack Model 2. So yeah, this package really had legs, and it was available for almost every system on the market. Of course, spreadsheets were really popular. One of the things back in the early 80s that you would want to buy a computer for is that so you could do a spreadsheet if you were doing financial modeling or anything like that, keeping your records. Spreadsheets were really, really handy and something that a lot of people use computers for, with, of course, Lotus 1-2-3 being the de facto standard, or the most popular, I would say, for the IBM platform. But here's Microsoft Multiplan for the Commodore 64. So we have multiple branding here. We've got Hessware, and we've got Microsoft, the old Microsoft logo, which is pretty cool. And the disc is in here. I think it's just one disc. And it's got this, ginormous manual here going through exactly how you use a spreadsheet. So if you want to learn how to use Microsoft Multiplan, this is the package to get. I'm kind of curious. I'll have to look up and see maybe how much this was back in the day. I bet it was a hefty price for Microsoft Multiplan for the Commodore 64. So I actually did a little digging, and I found this May 1984 issue of Ahoy magazine. And it turns out that there were a number of spreadsheets. They reviewed about 9 of them here, and Multiplan was one of them. And you can see all the various features that they included. And it looks like this retailed for about $100. So not quite as bad as I expected. But yeah, spreadsheets were popular back in the 80s. Okay, almost done here. Here's a disk protector. So when you're transporting your floppy disk drive, you should put this in your floppy drive, and it was just laying here in the box. Now this is pretty interesting. I don't know. This I definitely want to see if I can get it working. Ugh, nasty stuff on there. So this is called Computerized Video Acquisition System. This definitely sounds like it's going to need an independent episode to discover this. So it says, finally, an inexpensive way to capture real-world images on your Commodore's high-res display. Computerized is an innovative, slow-scan device that connects between a standard video source like a videotape recorder, video camera, video disc, and the Commodore's user I/O port. So let's just see what's in here. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Wow. Computerized. This looks like it's rarely been used. It's got a RCA type connector on it. It's got sync and brightness pots on it to control that. And then here's for where it plugs into the user port. Wow, this would be really cool to see if we could actually scan some images in, some modern images. And print shop compatibility software. What else? KoalaPad compatibility software manual. Here's the manual itself, and then underneath here, there's looks like some copies here. So computerized data, print shop, system software, print shop Commodore. So yeah, it came with a number of discs. I'll have to take a closer look at this. Oh, there's the Koala compatible. So that's pretty cool. So you could use the KoalaPad and this computerized hardware and software together to import images onto your C64. So this will be a lot of fun to check out. I've never seen this before. Retro Hack Shack will return after these messages.
Tonight's special was sponsored by Levi's Cords, by Finesse Hairspray, Miller High Life, and also by Commodore Computers.
They didn't buy a Commodore computer, and they'd rather not be recognized.
My computer costs 3 times as much as a Commodore 64.
For the same memory.
Commodore games cost almost half as much as my games.
Commodore business programs cost about 1/3 as much.
If you don't look into Commodore before you buy a computer, you'll be sorry.
I could have saved the school, so much.
So I don't know, these must have been stored a long time. I don't know, just from opening these kind of in front of the camera, look at all this mess that I've accrued. I'm going to have to go sweep this off before I open the box of discs. So this is what I'm actually worried about the most. This is a disc holder, a drawer for discs. It looks like perhaps whoever had this put their monitor up here because there's an obvious mark here where I can see a monitor sitting maybe on top of these discs. But it also appears that there's some water damage here. So I'm really concerned that the discs that are in here or the equipment that's in here may be ruined. But we'll go ahead and take a look. I'm not going to be able to go through all of this. I know that for a fact. If this is full of discs like I expect it is, we would be here for hours trying to go through every single disc. So I'm just going to go through at a high level. I'll cut out a bunch of it and just maybe pull out some of the ones that are more interesting. But let's take a look at this serious collection that somebody had of personal disks, maybe copies, I don't know what. Let's start with drawer number 1. Wow. Interesting. So here's some of those cartridges. Here's an unmarked Hessware cartridge. Here's Trashman for the Commodore 64 from Creative Software. Another fast load cartridge, so there's 2 of those. That's pretty cool. Here's Jumpman Jr., Master Type, the typing instruction game. I think we saw that manual in here earlier. Omega Race. Yay! Choplifter. Oh, there it is. Congo Bongo. Nice. So some of these were just put in here, I guess to keep them safe. Now here's data processing, word processing, Burroughs New Coat. Designed for use on Commodore 64, Radio Shack DMP 110. Is this ink? Perhaps? Because the 110, wasn't that the printer, I think, for the Radio Shack? Yeah, that's it. So this is an ink cartridge for use with a bunch of different printers. I wonder if it still works. I've got a DMP, either a DMP 100 or a DMP 110 out in the garage. So if it still works, that might become really handy for that. And this is just full of discs. These look like they might be blank floppies, but you can see some of the labels in the back here. This is just completely water soaked and damaged. So hopefully there's nothing on that one. Okay, let's move on to drawer number 2. Holy moly. This is crazy. Not exactly sure where to start, but a lot of these disks, I just can't imagine that they would load. Here's something for quick load. Just so many backups. Oh, this is so sad. Look at how Sierra Online, oh man. And look, it's all bent up, but it's CompuServe software. I just don't think that's going to work, unfortunately. The disk itself, it looks like it's melted. Yeah, that's too bad. CompuServe VidTex for the Commodore 64. But it looks like not only was this water damaged, but it was melted as well in here. Oh, man. Oh, here's Koala. KoalaWare Instant Programmer's Guide. That doesn't look like it's in too bad of shape. Hey, I'll have to see if I can get this working. Zaxxon for the C64 free, it says. Was this really free, or did someone make a copy? Maybe it was just free for this person. Here's another one that looks like it's probably melted. Card Sharks. I wonder if I could take the disc out of there. I wonder if the disc itself is melted, or just the plastic case that the disc came in. That might be interesting to see if I could get that out and save it somehow. Now here's another one, Quantum Leak. I think Quantum Leak was also a pretty famous online software service, right? Where you could dial in and get access to stock reports and things like that. I'm pretty sure. So here's the Quantum Link version 3 program disk. That would be kind of fun to load just to see for history, see what that looked like on the Commodore 64. Okay, not enough time to go through everything, but let's go ahead and see what's behind door number 3. Yeah, again, more damage here. All of these discs in the back. Here's Jumpman, Zork. I don't know if this would work. I may do an episode where I go through here and see if I can revive some of these discs or rescue them. Here's that Kickstart off-road simulator we looked at before. So some of those discs are in here. Here's an interesting disc. It looks like crap, but it just says public domain software. So it'd be interesting to see what's on there. It has 1908 and then a blank where you can fill in the year. It's 1983 collection C5, whatever that means. Here's Commodore, the Word Machine and the Name Machine. I don't know what that is. Maybe that's some educational software. Okay, here is the Commodore 1541 test demo disc, single-sided. I just watched a video by 8-Bit Show and Tell, who went through some of the different loading commands off of the 1541 disk to Commodore 64, and I think he used this very same disk. His was probably in better shape than mine, but look, it's all melted. Oh, the humanity. And then it looks like these up front, in the front here. Oh, there's Mission Impossible. I'll have to check that out. but it looks like these disks up front are mostly like office programs. Here's one called Superbase. I'm assuming that's a database. Business One, for example. Creative Calc. One that just says math. One that says Commodore 64 file copier and bit copier and word processor. Be kind of interesting to see what that was. Data manager. Yeah, so this section up front appears to be all utilities. So it looks like there was some organization that was going on here. So this is by far the biggest haul I've ever seen for a Commodore 64. This is one person's entire collection that they've put together over the years. So we've got the Commodore 64 systems. There's one more in there that I think is on my bench right now that I'm working on. A couple of drives, all kinds of software and cartridges, as you can see. Just a massive treasure trove of Commodore 64 memorabilia, games. Like I said, this isn't mine. It now belongs to the makerspace and is available for people to work on or use, which is great. So we're going to open it up for them. But I hope you enjoyed this. And thanks again to everybody for the 1,000 subscriber mark. Let me know what kind of episodes you want to see me make with this ginormous treasure trove, this collection of C64 hardware and software. Well, I've got to say I am blown away at what was inside those boxes and all those discs especially. Even though some of them look like they're a little beyond repair, I think that there's a lot of software in there that was probably bootleg, but there might be a few odds and ends that haven't been archived yet. And if so, I'll be sure to upload those to archive.org. And also, I think I've identified a number of episodes to have in the future, from fixing up C64s or testing out interesting equipment. So this is going to be a really nice find. Very rare to find a complete collection, or certainly one of this magnitude, for free, essentially on the side of the road. If there's something in there that you saw that you'd like to learn more about or know more about, certainly I would love to learn more about it too. So let me know in the comments below what you think you'd like to see on an upcoming episode, and I'll be sure to prioritize that when I'm looking at doing some Commodore 64 videos. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I know I did. If you like the episode, please go ahead and hit the like button or subscribe to the episode, or you can contribute on patreon.com/retrohackshack. If you don't want to do any of that, at least sign up for my Instagram and Twitter feeds, where I post things that are going on in between episodes. So photos of projects I'm working on or questions I have for you, the viewing audience, and all the other experts out there. Would love it if you followed along and were able to answer some of those questions for me. It'll help make my content even better. So with that, thanks for watching. See you next time. If you want to support me on Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/retrohackshack and sign up